Hi, and welcome to the Senior Network. I'm your host, Greg Fulton. Today we are joined by Brad Wiest, hearing aid specialist. Good to see you again. And thank you for allowing us to join you here at your hearing aid center in Bluffton.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Heather,
Thank you.
Great to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I see a lot of toys back there. I thought that maybe Brad could kind of introduce us to some of the new technologies that we were talking about.
Great, Greg. Yeah, there's always new technologies comes out from all the different manufacturers, and of course they're all trying to compete with each other.
Sure, which could be a good thing.
So it really drives the technology to change every year incrementally. So some of the things that we've seen in the last few years are just Bluetooth connectivity. So that can really help people out on their phone. So if they get a phone call, they can directly stream it to their hearing aids. So you can go to the left or the right or both, so you can really get a good surround sound that way. Wow. So you can really communicate easier on the phone. So when you speak, your voice goes into either a little device or directly into the iPhone, so they can actually be hands-free. So if they're driving or they're walking, they can hear that way and have a conversation. So that's been around for a couple of years, but what's really exciting is some of the stuff that's even a little bit newer than that, where they can detect falls and that sort of thing by using the GPS feature in the hearing aids.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Obviously, falls for our seniors are very, I don't want to say common, but it's things that we want to avoid.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That would be wonderful.
Absolutely.
So Brad, tell us how's that work? I'm interested in that too. So
they
you
pair
can
up
detect
with
the fall?
Yeah, they pair up with your phone.
Okay.
So everything works there through your app. So the GPS and the hearing aids, if they both fall at the same time, it's probably they didn't drop them both, right? So there's an alert function that can come on there, and you can set it up however you like to, send a text message to somebody, whether it be a loved one or even call 911. So that's one thing they can do.
Do both hearing aids have to hit the floor?
I think you got to set it up to do it, but usually it's two, because if you're just dropping one, right? So you don't want to overreact to it, because normally people are wearing two. But you can set it up that way to detect falls, or if it's on the ground for a certain amount of time, or both on the ground for a certain amount of time.
That's very intriguing, because I know, with the senior population, and we deal with this all the time, technology is really starting to become a part of senior care now. It's, we always need people on people and things like that, the delivery of care, but technology is starting to work its way in, and I see more and more of that, and that's interesting to know that you guys have
And
that.
hearing aids are primarily, the receiver and the microphone, so the sound comes in, the sound comes out.
Right.
But if you can connect it to an app, the technology is really unlimited. So how much can you do with that app? Can you control the way it sounds, high frequencies, low frequencies? Can you attenuate the microphones differently to hone in on what you're looking at and not what's behind you? Gives the user the flexibility to make the adjustments themselves from there. So the more technology that goes into the app development, the more the competitive edge that these hearing aid companies will have over each other. I think that seniors are getting smart. And
they're smaller, and for lack of a better, they're prettier. You can hardly see them, and they're, more
manageable.
Manageable,
So we've gone to lithium-ion batteries in a lot of them now too. So they just sit in a little docking station at night. So seniors aren't having to fumble around with batteries and that sort of thing too. So it's been more of a convenience thing too. So.
You mentioned it, Brad, before, and I just can't remember. Your typical age where you start to see folks coming in with hearing aid issues?
So the national average, the industry average, so to speak, of the first time wearer of a hearing aid, is 69 years old.
Okay.
So it can vary. Yesterday I saw a 27-year-old girl with a profound hearing loss. Yeah. She's born with it, so that can happen. And I've also tested people 75, 76 that still have normal hearing or very slight, mild hearing loss. But usually I would say around 70, I can expect there to be some type of loss. So
is hearing aids, are they covered under your insurance at all?
So Medicare is not going to cover for hearing aids, unfortunately. They don't cover for your eyes or your ears where you really need it the most.
Yeah.
So Medicare supplements will usually not cover as well, because if Medicare covers 80, they cover 20, so if Medicare doesn't cover, they don't cover. Right. But we like to look into everybody's secondary insurance that they might have. So sometimes we do get some coverage there.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we always check. We always want each person to bring in every card they have.
Good.
And we call those individual providers, and the policy might dictate whether or not they get coverage. Sometimes they have to meet a deductible, sometimes they just get the same the same benefit every 3 years or what have you. But it's good to look into.
Yeah. Well, Brad, I know in the home care space, we have a lot of competitors, and that's a good thing, gives people choice.
Absolutely.
And I know in your world you have the same. So tell us a little bit about, because you guys have such a great reputation, about, I know it really comes down to a lot of the service that you provide, and that's you personally a lot of times.
Right.
But tell us a little bit about what you feel like really you stand out from the crowd.
So the training that we received is big. So when I first got hired with my company, they sent me to Chicago to our corporate headquarters, and I was there for 4 months. Learning,
4 months?
Yeah,
Wow.
learning everything about hearing aids and how to test. I was living in a hotel, and they were paying for all that, and they put a tremendous amount of
It's a big
of
investment.
It sure
capital.
is.
Yeah, and they do the same thing with our patient care coordinators as well. They don't have to go there that long, but we really learn all the tricks of the trade. So we're very prepared by the time we get here, instead of just sort of thrown to the wolves and just sort of doe-eyed, So that really is a big part of it. So, I take a lot of pride in what I do, and others do as well in my industry and my company. And, we see hearing clinics pop up and disappear around Bluffton.
Right.
And we're still here. So we have 152 clinics strong right now. So that number could grow or what have you.
Do
make
you
those
do you
decisions.
see a lot of because I have a few patients that have hearing aids, and sometimes they get clogged or they need to be cleaned out, and so of course we have to call. Can they come back in and be seen and have their
Great question. Yeah.
hearing aids
So
cleared
that's
out?
half of what we do. I mean,
Yeah.
half is testing the hearing, letting them know what their problem is. Sometimes they need hearing aids. Sometimes they need to see a doctor or get their ears cleaned out. But most of the time, if they're fit with hearing aids, then they need to be serviced. So depending on the person, everybody's a little bit different. But we need them, or we want them to come back in, usually every 3 months or so, and have them cleaned up, change out all the little parts, get all the wax out of them. So if they're not working for them and they're sitting in a drawer, then that person's unhappy, and we don't want that.
Right.
So.
Well,
You
that's
mentioned,
good to know.
you were talking about payments, I know, because we have many different types of payments with home care. Are the credit cards, things like that, if people need to kind of space the money out a little bit? Because I know it can be an investment for some folks.
Absolutely. So we partner with 3 different financing companies.
Oh, okay.
So Wells Fargo, Care Credit, and a third company called Healthcare Finance Direct. So between the 3 of them, we can usually get, I think about 95% is what they told me, people financed.
Oh,
so
wow.
The first 2 don't require a down payment and also offer 0 interest plans all the way up to 36 months.
Oh,
So
that's
we,
good.
we can, take something that can be, a little bit pricey and break it down and make it affordable for everybody, because
Oh, that's good.
everybody gets to the point where they really do need them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, Heather, I know you mentioned you've got many patients and clients that have hearing aids and so forth. And I'm assuming when that need arises that a referral would take place from you calling into the office here, maybe, or just introducing the family to Brad. Is that correct?
Yep. It takes a little coercing and
Right.
to get people to
Educating. and
educating and make them realize that a hearing aid might really be beneficial.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can hear me.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. So I don't have to yell. But once we get past that, and I can get everyone on board that this is really a good thing, and then the cost is sometimes a deterrent, but I can certainly now use that there is options for them, and it makes it a little.
Oh, yeah, payment plan, exactly.
Yeah, a good payment plan.
I was told by some higher ups in my company that the United States has the highest out-of-pocket cost for hearing aids anywhere in the world, but they also have the highest customer satisfaction of everywhere in the world as well. So even though they're paying more, they're actually a lot happier.
That's a good statistic to know.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
not really cost is the biggest factor for success. It's the care and the service and the quality of the hearing aid that they
Well,
get.
yeah, customer service in both of our industries is key.
Right.
And if people feel comfortable with your service, they're going to be more willing to take on that investment and make those payments. The same with home care, knowing that they always have an advocate for them, and that when there is a change in condition and something happens, that there's a nurse that will go out and take care of them
Sure.
and make sure that things are running smoothly.
And I'm assuming it's like anything else, glasses or whatever, people over time may want to upgrade and stay with
Absolutely.
technology, correct?
Correct. So I would say the the average person will get a new set of hearing aids about every 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
But that's not everybody. You know,
Sure.
sometimes their expense is too high.
Is
or
there
what
any
have
trade-in
you.
value?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Oh,
we
you
always
can
are
turn 'em in?
running. We're always running specials.
Oh, okay.
And that comes usually out in flyers, or they send me an email. They tell me, we'll give you $1,200, $1,000, $1,500, something like that for a set of hearing aids.
Great.
So even if you have a 7 or 8 year old set, you can turn it back in.
Oh, that's good.
If the sets still work, we can usually donate them to a charity.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah,
What did you do
so
with the old ones?
So
Good.
if somebody cannot simply afford hearing aids, they don't have the credit to
Oh,
pass
good.
financing, we can usually do something for them.
Oh, I like
Well,
that.
hold that
I
thought.
like that a lot.
We're going to need to take a break.
Okay.
Stay with us here on the Senior Network. We'll be right back.